Hello and welcome to Coast to Coast. You are here with your hosts, Will Schofield and Oscar Allen. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we are running the AFL. Yes, we'll touch on that a little bit later on in the episode. But pretty much anything we say here on Coast to Coast happens. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's good to see that Gil's tuning in, so thank you very much, big fella. It's great to have you. I'm number 12 for the Eagles. Scully's number 31, just in case you've forgotten.
Yeah, or didn't know at all.
But it's great to be here in the Gold Coast. Beautiful weather, and it's good to be back in familiar surroundings, shall we say.
We are in the Gold Coast. We're out of the beautifully soundproofed production studio, and we are in Jared, our producer's bedroom at the moment with a couple of microphones. So apologies if it's sounding a little bit scratchy, but we're going to do our best. We've got 2 games to cover off on this week because of the shortened fixture. We've missed the GWS game. So just a quick synopsis, quick overview of that, perhaps, Oscar?
Yep. So obviously we won. It was a pretty good performance. Jumped them early, which was pleasing. We did that the week before as well against Hawthorn, I believe. So it was good to start the game well and kind of just held them at an arm's length for most of the game. Pretty good team performance. Wasn't an amazing game, but yeah, it was good to get the win.
It felt like for most of the game, like you said, we were on top, but going into that game, we knew they were a very good team. And even though we did jump them, which we haven't really done too often this year, we got a good start. They came back and they fought their way back into the game. And at stages, they were well and truly in the game where potentially the trends and the way the game was being played, they shouldn't have. But I thought they fought very hard and it was a good win for us in the end. You know, it was only 4 goals, maybe the final scoreboard, but a good win, keep the winning streak going and our last game at home.
I think a lot about this season is about just getting over the line and winning games. Obviously, percentage is always important, but in such a tight season, and you look at the ladder at the moment, and it's very congested near the top, so just winning as many games as possible is the mindset I think every team's got.
Do you think that's different to other years?
I think other years you could more so. Obviously, shortened fixture this year.
Okay.
Every game is more important.
So more importance on winning.
Yes.
I disagree there. You've just got to win more games in a normal season. There's still an importance of winning in a normally. I guess there's less room for.
There's less wiggle room to have a poor day.
Yeah. Okay.
Thoughts?
And shortened games as well, not just the shortened season.
Yeah, probably don't have time to have lapses in games. I think teams can jump you by 4 or 5 goals and
all over.
It's almost curtains. Yeah.
Well, I think that's potentially enough on GWS. You came out of the team after that game. You injure yourself. You okay?
Yeah, I just saw glute. We had a 4-day break this week coming into the Tigers and pushed myself to get up, but eventually didn't get up for the game. Bailey Williams came in for his debut last night, which was great for him, great for his family. He's been working really hard and he's a huge talent, really athletic, ruckman, tall forward. Like I think Simo touched on it. He's got probably the only player in the club that can jump higher than Nick Nat, which is not an easy feat.
No.
And yeah, I thought he was pretty good last night, cracked in, but touching on last night, how did you see the performance? Obviously, we were sitting next to each other in the stands yesterday.
Yes.
Did you hate sitting next to me?
Yes, I did actually. You remind me of me younger earlier in my career. You do get quite involved, but you do have a good footy brain, so you're able to pick apart what Richmond were doing, what we were doing, but a little bit too much chat for my liking in my ear. I don't really love, I don't love talking through games while I watch them, unless I'm working, of course. But if I am actually just watching, I just want everyone else to shut up. And I don't do well in crowds because of that, because you do tend to hear some opinions that may not be based on fact or more so based on fiction. And sometimes some of the things coming out of your mouth last night were like that.
Wow. Well, I could tell you weren't enjoying it by midway through the second quarter. You stopped responding to me, which was awesome. I considered a seat change. However, with the COVID restrictions, we needed a seat between everyone, and I was either sitting there next to you or on my own. So I actually turned to my left, and Mitch O'Neill got the brunt of it for the second half, which, sorry, Mitch, but that's how we roll.
It might have been nicer for the whole playing group if you had just gone and sat by yourself. Now, the Tigers game was, I thought, a really good game. Yes, we didn't win. Like you said, everyone's trying to win as many games as possible, but I thought it was 2 very, very high quality teams going at it, and they were higher quality. It wasn't one good team, one bad team on the night. I thought at times West Coast, or we were very good and we're on top of Richmond, and they were the same, but they were on top for longer and they were able to be more consistent. They were able to do the little team things more than us, more consistently over the course of the night, and that added up to, don't even know the margin in the end, but that's what happened.
Yeah, it's always a good game when we play Richmond because we play, I think it's fair to say, different game styles, and seeing two teams that play differently really clash and see who gets the upper hand with their game style versus ours. It's always entertaining to see. As you said, we had our moments, they had theirs, but in the end, they were probably too good at the end of the day. Really well-oiled machine and strong team. So tip the hat to them, and we've got to prepare and get ready for Essendon this week.
We do. Before we move on to that, a couple of early injuries, both high-quality players to each team. Josh Kennedy was knocked out by Bolter in a strange marking contest, but things like that happen in footy. And Richmond lost Dylan Grimes about the same time. I didn't actually see when he went off. So if you're talking like for like of importance to each team, they're probably pretty similar. Dylan Grimes is their real quarterback guy in their back line, is able to play on the best player every week. And Josh Kennedy's our guy in the forward line. So if you're playing chess and you took a couple of pieces off the board, they'd be a couple of the first off that you want if you were the other team, but it was probably an even match in the end.
Couple of queens on the chessboard.
Couple of queens.
Yeah, it was a good game. And with both of them going down, I mean, in games, it's hard to say. If JK was out there, we would have won. If Grimes was out there, they would have won by more. You just take it for what it is. It happened, and then we played how we did without them. There's nothing you can do about it.
A real highlight for mine, just as a footy observer, was Richmond's snapping ability throughout the game. They kicked at least 5 goals with snaps that in any given game, you might kick 40% of. You might kick 2 of 5. They kicked everyone. Didn't look like missing.
They are the best snapping team in the competition.
There you go. You heard it here first.
And some snaps from like 40, 45 metres out. I don't know how they do that. They just front punt it and it goes straight down the middle. Obviously, they've got a lot of talented small forwards. Shea Bolton, he's moved into the midfield, but he played really well. He's having a really good season.
Yeah.
Dan Rioli, Castagna, even their big boys. Jack Rewalt with the snap in the fourth quarter on his left foot from 15 metres out straight in front.
He did miss, but he does that a lot. So what that tells me is he trains that. He wasn't just making that up on his left. And these guys that you're talking about are good snappers for a reason. It's not just talent. I dare say they would have dedicated snapping time, probably every training session.
Yeah. Thoughts on your theory of set shots are pure luck?
Yes.
If blokes start lining up to snap, is it still the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, Jack Rewalt's trying to kick the goal. He's a highly skilled player. He's been playing the game for 14 years and he's trained to do something and he still can't kick it. So it's all luck. It's not like he's trying to miss there, is he?
No.
So it's unlucky that he missed that. It's not that his skill suddenly dropped. It's not that he just forgot how to kick, is it? Like, why did he miss? You tell me why he missed.
Well,
You tell me why anyone misses a set shot.
Well, I'm just interested in the fact that he's played a lot of footy. He's kicked like 700 goals. And he's, as you said, he's played for 14 years. I can understand if he was on the right side, moving around, snapping on his right foot, but he's probably kicked, of those 750 goals, whatever he's kicked, he's probably kicked 500, 600 of them coming in a normal set shot routine. So I'm just interested as to why he changed it. I'm sure he's got his own reasons. He had his knee strapped, so perhaps he had a sore right knee.
He wouldn't have just made it up on the night.
No.
And no player does that.
He wouldn't have, but I'm just interested in the processes of how he decided to change to do that.
I would say it'd be like with Kenners, with his kicking style. It hasn't always been the same. He's had the typewriter. He's had the stop and go. He's had the Ben Brown run up. Now he's got a pretty consistent, lazy Sue type run up. He just waltzes in and slams her home. Things change and evolve, and I think that'll probably be the same with Jack, but probably not a focal point that I want to continue along that line of. Jack Darling, 99th player to kick 400 goals in the VFL, AFL era, so the entire era of football. That's pretty big.
That is huge. I didn't realise, obviously I knew he's kicked around 400 goals, but I didn't realise how few people had done it. And saying how few football's gone for however long. And Jack's still not in the early stages of his career, but I'd say he's in his prime now. He's still got a lot of football left in him. He's generally always healthy. He's already played 200 games. He never misses. Where can he get to? Do you think he can overtake JK in the all-time goal-kicking list?
Where's JK? 700 or something?
Did he kick 700 or 600?
Unsure.
Fact check that. But
yeah, I'm going to say with his track record of being able to play injury-free, touch wood, he's put a lot of games into a short career. He's still very young. I think he's a chance. Just needs to continue on playing games.
Josh Kennedy, 639 goals.
So he's a long way behind, but he's got a long career ahead of him. So we'll see.
JK just turned 33 yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago.
Yes.
Happy birthday for them, Josh.
Jeez, that's old, Josh. Bloody hell, mate.
And
making me feel young.
Jack's 27.
So 6 years, 50 goals a year, 300. Yeah, he's passing him, isn't he?
Yeah.
A couple of other points. You are on Coast to Coast here. West Coast Eagles dedicated podcast that sets the scene in the AFL. 10 goals in the third quarter from both teams. Second highest scoring quarter of the season. I think it may have been the longest quarter of the season, time running. I think it could have got to the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, wow. I think for a quarter where someone wasn't stretch it off or something like that, where there's a big lapse where it may be 2-3 minutes, there was no instances like that. It was great to see. I think it shows how different AFL footy can be. First quarter, 2 goals are kicked, and it was still a high standard footy. Third quarter, 10 goals are kicked, and I'm not sure how much changed.
Have you thought about how hard it's going to be for you next year to play a game where it's a 30-minute quarter? You're not going to know what hits you, mate.
Like some of the quarters are 35 minutes long, and
you're done.
I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. A couple more cardio sessions maybe, but
yes, that's going to be a shock to the system, and it'll be interesting to see if it goes back to that at all. Maybe they won't.
Thankfully, I'm someone in the team that gets a little break. I get a break or two a quarter. I'm feeling for the Shanahan's,
the Schofields,
the Andrew Gaffs, Jack Darlings, who don't come off at all. That is a tough gig.
Yep. Well, they've been doing it for about 12 years, and it was a tough gig then. So what's changed? Nothing.
Perception.
Okay. 2 to go. Luke Shuey, one of the premium midfielders in the competition, Norm Smith medalist, captain of the football club, can kick left and right perfectly, beautifully. Is a great kick. What's happened?
He's one of the most coordinated men I've ever seen on a football field. Always looks in control, sharp, and he's just missed the ball. And
that was the first centre bounce of the game.
I reckon second. I reckon they just kicked a goal.
Yep.
And you looked across to me and said, after so he missed the ball, picked it up, running shot from 40, he sprayed that as well. You said to me, if he kicked that is up there for the greatest goal of all time.
Yeah, I don't know if he... So what's happened was he's run out of the midfield, out of the centre bounce. He thought he had more time, looked up, Basher Hooley's in front of him. So he's gone to step him, but he's tripped. And so as he's tripping, he's thrown the ball onto the boot, but he was on his wrong foot, as in he dropped it onto his right while his left was swinging through to kick. So I think it was actually highly skillful. What he was able to achieve was to lace some bit of boot onto that ball, regather it, and like I said, if he had to kick that goal, it may have been the greatest goal of all time.
I don't know how he kept his feet. I've watched the replay a couple of times. If that is me, I'm falling over and making myself look like a fool. I don't know. He does some weird things, but that was very, very strange and unlike Luke Shuey.
We did touch on Bailey Williams earlier on in the show. Great to see our 6th debutant for the year. I did see Simo speak about it during the week on social media. He said our 4th or 5th. Good to see the head coaches following along with selection. 6th debut, Bailey Williams. I hope I'm right with 6, otherwise I look silly too. I thought his game was serviceable, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I thought he did what he was there to do. Had a couple of chances at goal. Up in the stands, we were getting a little bit excited. You'd love to see a player kick a first goal, first game. Couldn't quite get the conversion there, but I thought he was good.
Yep. Yeah, he was. As I said,
you're going to be guarded here because he played in your spot. Yeah, it was good. It wasn't that good though.
He played his role, and like I said, he's got immense talent, and I think he's going to be a really good footballer for the club for a long period of time. But in saying that, I'm hoping I get up this weekend. yeah, come back into the side. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
All right, so that's it. The Tigers game, we lost, but we move on. Footy's a wonderful game. You get to play a game in usually about 7 days. We've got a game in 4 days coming up against
Essendon,
There you
who
go.
had one of the best halves of footy you have ever seen.
Yeah, well, we didn't see it. Well, I didn't.
I watched the replay.
Okay.
It was very, very good.
I saw, when we left for the bus, I saw Gary Lyon, Nick Rewalt, and Jonathan Brown teeing off on Essendon like I've never seen. I promise. I know I can be critical of the media sometimes. I've never seen three media experts tee off on a football team and a coaching department and a style of play more than those three were doing when I left my room. And by the time I got to Gold Coast Stadium, Metricon Stadium, Essendon had won by 3 goals.
Calling for heads. I mean, Essendon have...
What do they do? What do they change? They change anything?
Nah. There's not that much. Throughout the week, there's a lot that the coaching staff can do. And in games, you can pull a couple levers, whether that may be teams might have different modes of football they go into, maybe play more attacking, more defensive. But a coaching staff can't change that much in a game of football. A lot of it's teams are... Things you forget, AFL players are all super talented and all AFL teams are very good. You only need to be off a couple of percent. Teams get a couple, get in a good roll. Joey Danaher comes back, kicks a big goal, takes a big mark, lifts the spirit to the side, and they're home sailing. They're flying, feel like they're untouchable, and they get on a roll.
That's why I think sometimes we need to wind down the outrage and maybe analyse a little more than scrutinise.
Yes.
That was a good example of that. But we do have Essendon coming up in 4 days. You are on Coast to Coast. Stay with us.
Hi, Josh Kennedy here. You're listening to the Coast to Coast podcast hosted by Will Schofield and Oscar Allen.
Coast to Coast here from the Gold Coast. We're out of the recording studio. The quality's a little less with the sound, but the quality's a little better with what's coming out of our mouths, hopefully, Oscar.
Really good content.
Oscar Allen, Will Schofield here with you. Now, recovery and short turnarounds in the season. It's not something we've really experienced this year. We've been quite fortunate with our fixture layout. We're coming into and we've started a stretch of 5 games in around, 5 games. You're giving me the 4 single. It's 5 because GWS I'm including. Because there's a 4-day break after GWS, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'm right, yes. GWS into Richmond, into Essendon, into Bulldogs, into
St
Kilda. So we do that in about 2.5 weeks. Recovery is, well, how does the week change and how does it look between games from, say, a 4-day break to like a 7 or 8 day break? What sort of things change around the footy club or the hub?
So generally when you play a game, the next day is pretty low key, and then the first 2 days post game are recovery based, but they're also reviewing the game, collecting all the information, what went right, what went wrong, what things we would maybe like to tweak. The middle of the week is getting yourself right, doing things for yourself, getting away from football maybe on the Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll generally have a day off. Then we go into our main training session and we start focusing on the other team 2 to 3 days out from the game. When you have a shortened fixture or shortened breaks, that 7 days gets squeezed in. So the reviews maybe just the day after the game, because the club is very keen on us still having our own time. I do uni stuff, you've got your own business. So we're both doing separate things that we need to do away from football to keep ourselves sane. So we have 1 day review, 1 day ourselves, 1 day pre-play. And training-wise, that means it is very tough to get any quality training session out there. So a lot of it is based on the recovery aspect.
Well, a 7-day break, you're right. You have recovery the day after. Second day's reviews. Third day, probably little skill session. Day off. Main training. 5th day, a study of the team coming up. Oppo. Probably a day out, 2 days out. Then day before the game, you do captain's run. So there's 7 days all there. 3 days out from the game now is the day after the last game. So 3 days out, we usually main train. 3 days out now is the day after the game. So you're not going to main train after a game. There's the other logistics of non-AFL players that aren't in the squad or aren't in the team. More so than ever, you're going to have as many players available as possible every week. So it's been a real mission, but a credit to our sports science staff to be able to put together a training schedule that allows not only our guys playing games to, freshen up and be right to go in 4 days' time, but you could allow for guys that are in the non-AFL team to be able to put their hand up for selection, and that becomes difficult. But also, I think overall, I absolutely love it. I couldn't love it more. We're taking out, you're cutting all the crap out. There is, let's admit, there is some downtime as an AFL player when you're at the club. A full day, it could potentially be a half day if you had to. But you know what? It's a 7-day break, don't have to. You know what? 4-day break. Let's get to the point. Let's get it done. See you later. Couldn't love it more. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and touching on what you said about the guys that weren't playing, you can't go from doing no training sessions because the group that's playing basically isn't training to a full game. So the strength and conditioning staff, as you touched on, need to make full big content sessions for us. So both of us didn't play last night.
Yep.
Both of us pushing for selection this week, next week, wherever it may be.
Yep.
We've got to have a good load of training. So we've got a training session today. So we're playing it like it is a normal week. Like we've had a 7-day break. We have a main training session going into the game.
Yeah, what day is it today? It's Friday, so there's a game Tuesday.
It's like a normal week, Thursday to Saturday or Sunday game.
Yep, that's right. So talking about that, you were probably in season normal game. You were probably a 50-50 call, and that happens every week. So I don't really want to make this about you. And if you can, try and give your opinion based on overall as a playing group or as an industry. Decisions that are now 50-50, it's looking like, and you see it across the comp. I saw Joel Selwood as an example comes to mind, missing again. I think 50-50 decisions that usually you just give the player the benefit of the doubt and you play them and you risk the injury they may be carrying because it happens a lot. They're probably erring on the side of, 50-50, going to save you for the next game because that's only about eight or 9 days away. Would you agree?
Yeah. So from game against GWS to this game against Essendon, it is a 9-day break. So it is essentially like a long normal break, I suppose. But with the condensed fixture, if you don't take the time to nip something on the butt, it can continue to be an issue for an ongoing period. I mean, it depends as well on the type of player. Some guys who are maybe older or, I don't know,
injury prone.
Yeah, know their bodies better or don't know their bodies that well. They might leave it more up to the player to make a decision. But in my case, that was taken away from me. I understand why. And yeah, I'm just doing everything I can to get right for this game this weekend and put myself up for selection.
You got to have a more holistic view as a player. Every week you're trying to push yourself to get up and play every week, and that's what we've always been trying to do. And 80% of the competition will be carrying injuries every week. But right now, with 4-day breaks or 3 4s and a 5, you need to have a holistic view. Well, if I do miss this game, is that going to be better for the team and not myself? Well, even myself, if I do miss this, and I think, we'll talk about you. I think it is better that you missed last week because you may have tried to get up. What happens if you get injured, you miss 3 weeks? You're probably missing the rest of the season. So we don't want that. Now, coast to coast here with Oscar Allen, Will Schofield, Hub 2. We are in Hub 2. We've changed locations. We're no longer at the Pines Golf Course and Resort. We are now at Sanctuary Cove, about 15 minutes up the road. How have you found the facilities so far?
Good. The staff are really welcoming. We're currently working to get some things in place. Obviously, we didn't know where we were going until a couple of days out. Last time we had a little bit more wiggle room and plan to and time to prepare and plan for the resort. But we're here to play footy games and win as many games as we can. So we've got our mindset fully on the task at hand to get up and win this week.
I think the mindset, as you just touched on, is something that has changed a little bit. And, you might think, oh, well, that's because you had a poor mindset going into the first hub. But I think going into the first hub, it was a lot of unknowns. Hadn't been done before. No one else was doing it. You were learning the whole time. But this time around, we've done it before, know what to expect. A lot of things are out of your control. And I think you're able to shift your mindset a lot quicker. We are creatures of habit as AFL players, and we get used to doing things certain ways, but we're a long way into this season that is like no other, and the second hub, creates opportunities to be able to really just adjust your mindset and just take things as they come. And I think we're in a better space. That's why I thought the game last night with Richmond, they were better than us and they beat us. But I thought the way the boys played, it wasn't a hub thing, which potentially you could have said about some of our games earlier in the season. Not a hub thing, but it was a mindset thing. I didn't think our mindset lost last night against Richmond. Thought we're just beaten by a better team. Did the pinball machine make it? This is a big issue. Did it make it? First day we got here. Yeah, here's your room. Here's your meals. Here's the pool. Where's the pinball machine?
It's here. It is here.
It's here.
It's an exciting. I personally didn't spend a lot of time on the pinball machine. I'm more of a table tennis advocate myself, but it is here. It's arrived. I believe is it the same machine?
Okay,
I
so
think it's different.
you were portraying your lack of knowledge for the pinball machine industry. Yes, it is a different game. AC/DC was the pinball machine over in the Pines. We're now Metallica, and it's different. I got to tell you, it's very different. There's magnets all over it. The flow of the ball it's just not consistent, and the levers and the pulley thing to start the game very stiff. It could be a new table.
So bad different or good different?
Look, it's just different. No,
make a call.
Well, it's bad, but it's just
okay,
different. The mindset's going to stay. You can't control it. You just got to deal with what we can control, and we'll just play the balls as they lie. I want you to just quickly touch on the evolution of our team this year. We're obviously quite a senior team in parts of our side, probably the back line more specifically, but we've seen a lot of young guys go through the team, and I think it's exciting.
It is. I think all AFL teams have to have an eye on the future. Players playing now won't always be around, and we'll need to continue to flush new players through. And I think you've seen guys play roles really well into a side. Josh Rotham comes to mind as a real standout for me. He's been really good last month.
You know why? Because he just slotted in, and you wouldn't even you don't even think, how many games he played? Has he even played 10? Wouldn't even know.
10th game on the weekend.
Yeah, well, there you go. So he's just doing things like a natural.
Jacko Nelson, the same, has played probably about 50 games now, I'd say, but knows the role, knows the system really well, and cracks in.
Quite obvious his improvement this year.
Tom Cole, one of our best last night, I thought. Very good off the halfback flank.
He actually had the best preseason out of any player at the club, and he broke his thumb.
Yep.
Tendons possibly, broke it all. So he missed good 6 weeks of contact, and he wasn't forgotten about, but people forgot how well he was training in preseason, and he's found that form again over the last 6 weeks.
Duggo's been around for quite a long time, but I think he's elevated his game. Those 3, 4 on the high half back line have really elevated themselves this year, I thought.
Name our 6 debutants.
Yeah.
Name them.
Xavier O'Neill.
1.
Bailey Williams.
2.
Jermaine Jones.
3.
Tim Kelly.
4.
There's 6.
Who's
Nick Reid.
Yes.
Harry Edwards for a quarter and a half.
Yeah, I don't like that. He's had some mouthing help here from our producer Jared. I don't like that. That's cheating.
Harry was a tough one.
Yeah.
Because he was there for a quarter, and I don't think he remembers playing. I don't think he knows he's played a game yet.
I still feel bad about that. Yeah. So you've had 6 debutants. You've had some of the younger guys step up, which makes it easier. Wrong word, but it makes it. Give me a word here. It's not easier, but for the older guys in the team, having younger guys step up and play their role or go past their role.
Shares the load.
Yeah, it shares the load, and, it enables, the Yos, the Shueys, the Kellys, the high flyers, McGoverns, to go and do their thing and not have to feel like they carry the team. It's been an important evolution, and it's exciting for our team, and potentially we'll see more debutants over the next couple of weeks with our schedule coming up.
Stay tuned. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
As we touched on at the start of the episode, we're not trendsetters. We are just setters. We are setting standards. We're setting rules. We're telling it how it is. We're speaking about it in an intelligent manner. We're basing it on facts, and things are happening. Would I be correct in saying those things, Oscar?
You couldn't hit the nail on the head any harder.
Yeah.
So we're not trendsetters. We're setting legislation. We put pathways in place for those higher up to see and follow.
What did we speak about last week?
first and foremost, the under-18s competition.
Yes.
We spoke about it's now called the NAB League. Used to be called the TAC Cup. It's the biggest pathway for junior footballers to get drafted from. Over 50% of draftees are from Victoria every single year. Don't get me started on that. But firstly,
And we spoke about the troubles that the pandemic and the way the AFL season's been played may bring on that section of the community.
yeah, it's been cancelled. So how are guys then going to transition into AFL next year?
Yes.
There's always been talk about moving the draft age up to 19. The NAB League is currently under 16s to under 18s football.
Yes.
However,
And you quote.
2021,
And you quote.
the NAB League is moving from under 16s and 18s to an under 17s and 19s format as part of a restructure of the second tier and pathway football.
Does it say there, first brought to you by Coast to Coast?
It should, but it does not.
Okay.
The big aspect of this, the players who are now 16 who have missed their first year of playing NAB League football, they are now being able to play 3 years, 17s, 18s, 19s.
You're not going to be able to wind this back either. So once you take a step forward like this, move 16s to 17s, you can't then just miss a year. Like, I don't think you can wind that back, can you?
No, because then guys will miss
Yeah.
a
There's
year of
always
development.
going to be a skipped year of people.
So now, instead of draft scouts working for clubs trying to draft players, instead of them having 3 years from 16, 17, 18 to monitor someone's progression, they'll now only have 2 years. So is this the, I suppose, loophole the AFL needs to say, right, draft age, cut it. We'll go to 19s.
Yeah. I think I was just about to say, this is the catalyst for us, coast to coast, to say what's going to happen. The draft age is going up. Okay?
Bang.
You've heard it here first. I guarantee you haven't heard it anywhere else. You've heard it here right now. The draft age is going up. Gil, I know you're going to be putting a presser out soon, mate, but we thought we'd release it early. What else did we speak about?
We also spoke about the restructuring of the AFL wide reserves competition with all reserves teams now not being allowed to play because of coronavirus.
On the East Coast.
Everywhere.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to be a part of waffle competition because we're in a secure environment and players playing waffle football are not. They've decided to cut all teams playing their reserves competition in the allocated state leagues. I spoke about a number of weeks ago with yourself. The potential of a reserves competition moving to competition wide. So the Eagles play Richmond at the MCG in 2025. The Eagles reserves team play Richmond reserves team beforehand at the MCG in 2025. The announcement was made by
and we quote
Daniel Cherny with a blue tick next to it, which means it's legit.
Yep.
The NEFL is effectively dead, being absorbed into the VFL. This means the VFL is now merging, the NEFL is now merging with the VFL. 9 clubs have been invited to join Victoria State League.
Right, so that's Sydney, GWS, Brisbane, and Gold Coast. They all play in the same league now.
So now,
So who's left?
there's 14 teams.
Yeah.
They've got the SA teams and the WA teams left.
Yes.
14 of 18.
Yep.
It's happening.
Yep. Well, we're already there. What really?
Yeah.
There's 14 teams playing in the league. So teams have been given the option in the, we're going to call it the NEA VFL. They've been given the option to either field their own reserves team, merge with another, or align themselves with an existing team. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, given the talks of salary cap cutting, list size cutting. You know, how's that going to look? With a list size of 45, you're not going to be able to field 2 teams. So do you have to increase your list size to 50 and be able to, you know, with injuries, field 2 teams of 22? Or do you cut your list size to 30 and you know, effectively spread players back into the state leagues to be able to, you know, make their case from there, and potentially you have more in-season trading, free agency pickups, the mid-season, whatever that's called, comes back into play and you can top up your list with injured players. I think we're moving there, Oscar. I've got to be honest. I think it's moving, and it's moving a lot quicker than most people thought. I think it's going to be here. Look, I don't want to say next year, but it's going to be here next year.
Do you think? I think
It's going to be very close.
I think 2022.
Yeah.
Logistically, it hurts my brain to think about.
Yes. Yeah. You couldn't pull it together in 3 months.
No, it hurts my head because I'm trying to think about the potential list size cutting.
I just went through, like, how does that work? Yeah.
And then top up players, but I can confidently say it will happen 100% in the next 4 to 5 years. A chance at 2022, depending on this current global situation and the financial position of the AFL in regards to that.
Okay, if you had to put your money on, will we cut our list right back and, push people back into state leagues, or will we extend our list to 50 players? Which one of those, if you had to take one?
I think we're going to, for 2021?
The future model, not necessarily 2021, but the future model of the AFL.
Future model. I think it's going to be more so American model, cut this size down to 30, 35, and there'll be a more open playing field where people will be regarded as free agents as they are in the NFL, NBA. They'll play lower league competitions and you can plug and place them, put them on 1-year deals, 6-week deals, to the end of the season, mid-season trading future draft picks. I'm excited. I'm a big fan of the American sports model.
You excited, are you?
Oh,
what if you get delisted? Okay, you're a player.
Yep, I'm a player.
You play, you get injured.
Yep.
The club's IR list is full, injury reserve, and they think, you know what, Oscar, it's been real, man, but we're going to delist you and we're going to pick up Will Schofield out of the waffle, who's been playing very well for the last 3 years. He's 34 years old, but we're bringing him back. Thanks for your services. And there's no guarantee you're getting back on the list. You excited about that?
Yeah.
You're excited about that?
I still am, yeah.
Wow.
Personally.
Doesn't sound very exciting saying it.
Well, because I think when you do this, there's now deeper complexities you must go into. In regards to contracts, you'll have to add no trade clauses in, which is in American sports, which is almost means in my contract, you can't trade. You can try to trade me, but I can cancel the deal whenever I want. It makes your contract more valuable, probably take a financial hit to put that in your contract. The next thing that's going to happen, individual ownership of AFL clubs.
Yeah, okay. So private ownership.
Yeah. That'll take a bit longer, but it'll potentially happen. Well, I think it will definitely happen within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it's got a AFL, probably looking at over $30-40 million hit this year, probably similar next year, if that's happening. That's the industry that that runs the league. If it does take the NFL model where there's private ownership and the AFL takes more of a, Gill becomes the commissioner rather than the CEO. Commissioner Gill. Yeah, I agree with you. I think not that the AFL's been archaic and, backwards, but, we've been probably behind other sporting leagues around the world. And, we do profess ourselves to have a lot of things that in our league that we do better than other leagues. Well, I think the way players can move and player movement and contracting and ownership and free agency, everything like that, I think we are behind. And, that loyalty aspect, it doesn't really exist many places, especially in professional sports. So we want to be considered a true professional sport with legitimate claims as being one of the best in the world. I think we've got to move towards it, and it's going to be happening quickly.
And then you go, if you want to be really nerdy, you go into the deeper depths. Individual team ownership. Our CBA gets renegotiated, obviously. The AFL no longer has the means to pump up clubs that potentially don't earn as much money to keep them afloat. Player revenue scheme. The percentage of which player revenue goes back to the players will go up like American sports. I'm so excited. I'm such a nerd with this stuff, and I can't wait for it all to happen.
Oh, you've heard it here first on Coast to Coast again. Tell your friends, tell the media. If they want to hear anything, they want to hear scoops, tune in to Coast to Coast. I think that's about it this week from the Gold Coast Sub. You have something else?
We have a good message into Will Schofield. We put a call out last week.
Okay.
We put a call out last week. If you have any analytical sports-based questions, reach us. We want to talk about it.
Yeah, we do.
We're an intellectual podcast.
We do. We are.
We're not Backchat. Backchat was great. But we like to dig a little bit deeper. Scully, take it from here.
Luke Finkelstein.
Great name.
Oh, jeez, it's taking me back to social media days with names like that. That is just fantastic, Luke. I don't know if it's your real name. Hope it is. Time wasting from club officials is the topic. Is it possible for an umpire to pay a 50-metre penalty against a staff member? Now, one, great question. Two, this is based on an incident that happened a couple of weeks ago with a physio at our club. I won't name him. The ball has come out of play. I think it was kicked on the full and it's landed in our dugout.
I was on the mark.
Huge. Oh, so we kicked it on the full.
Yeah, we kicked it on the full.
Into the dugout.
Yeah.
Our physio from our club marked or picked up the ball and was quite delayed in giving the ball back to the opposition player. And look, it's very debatable if it was, if he was deliberately delaying the game or if he was just generally confused with where the ball should go after the ball landed out on the full in the dugout, clearly kicked by a West Coast player. The jury's still out on that. But he held the ball for at least 10 seconds before he gave back the ball back. Can a 50-metre penalty be given for that? Because if a player did that, if you just held the ball for 10 seconds, 50 metres, potentially 100 metres.
Yeah.
Is it in the rules? We should have probably looked this up before we answered the question. Are you going to have a stab in the dark?
Yeah, I technically don't think it's in the rules. And the more I think about
it's got to be in the rules.
If a support staff runs through the mark, it's a 50-metre penalty.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Okay. I do a complete 180. Yes, I believe it is in the rules, but it would take one of the biggest kahuna umpire in the AFL
to call it.
And I think the only one that would call it would be
Razor
Ray.
So,
and he was umpiring that game, and he did not have the mental fortitude to call that.
I think common sense has got to prevail in these circumstances, unless it's a very deliberate act. I am over-exaggerating in 10 seconds, and I genuinely think our physio was confused as to... I think, you know what he's confused about? You know how we've been told about getting new balls back from the crowd? You're not allowed to get balls back from the crowd. You have to pick a new one up off the ground. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we've been told that if a ball gets kicked into the crowd, you get a new ball from the ground because the crowd ball has to be cleaned. I think our physio was genuinely concerned whether he was doing something wrong by giving the ball back.
This has a lot of shades of in soccer, like ball boys are recruited and they're like 12, 13 years old and they're told to not give the ball back. And there's been instances where they're just like little kids hiding the ball, like putting it in their shirt.
I've seen red cards given.
Yeah, and players pushing over children.
Let's hope we don't get to that. Great question, Luke. Very, very, very in-depth, and we're able to be analytical about it.
Answer, is it a 50-metre penalty?
Jury's still out, Luke. Jury is still out, but we're going to tell you right here, it's a 50-metre penalty, Luke. Well done. I think it's a 50-metre penalty, mate.
I do too, mate.
It's been a great episode. We've covered a wide range. We did have 2 games to get through. We've effectively done 2 weeks in one. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed being with you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you later.